Hello and welcome back to CHE 101. I am Therese Helago, and today's topic will be on the time value of money under the course Ecomche or Engineering Economy. Before we start, here's a brief overview of our discussion for today. First, we'll have a review on interest, discuss cash diagrams, identify formulas for present and future equivalent values and uniform series, and lastly, we'll be solving some practice problems. Let us first explore the concept of the time value of money. At its core, the time value of money reflects the principle that money received now has greater earning potential than the same amount received in the future. This is because money today can be invested to earn interest, grow in value, or generate returns. Therefore, a dollar received today is more valuable than a dollar received in the future due to its potential to grow. So, let's review two fundamental concepts in finance: simple interest and compound interest. Simple interest is calculated on the initial principal or the original amount of money being invested or loaned without considering any interest that accumulates over time. It is given by this equation where P is the principal amount, R is the interest rate, and T is the time period. So with simple interest, the interest amount remains constant each period as it applies only to the original principal. Therefore, we can calculate its future amount by multiplying the principal value by quantity 1 plus RT. Compound interest, on the other hand, is calculated on both the initial principal and the accumulated interest from previous periods. This allows the investment or loan to grow at an accelerated rate. The formula for the compound interest is shown on screen. So, as compared earlier, we see that the multiplier here is much more complex as compared to the 1 plus RT earlier. Here, the multiplier is 1 plus R over N raised to NT. So from here, we see that the interest compounds, therefore its name, the interest over time, which significantly increases the amount earned or owed compared to simple interest, especially over longer periods. Here's a table showing how a principal amount of $1,000 compounds over time with an interest of 10%. So from here, we see that the amount owed at the beginning of the period at the first column considers the interest accumulated at the previous period. Let us now move forward to cash flow diagrams. So, a cash flow diagram is a visual representation that illustrates the inflows and outflows of cash over a specific period. As we see here, we have a horizontal line representing time divided into equal intervals. It may be years, months, or quarters, depending on what you set. Each point along the line corresponds to a specific period. And then we use arrows to determine the flow of cash. A cash inflow or money received is represented by an upwards arrow, while cash outflow or money spent is represented by downward arrows. Each arrow is usually labeled with a dollar amount to show the size of the cash flow. So to better understand this, we have two cash flow diagrams here, one from the perspective of the borrower and another from the perspective of the lender. So on the left side, for the borrower side, the initial cash flow is an inflow as they receive the loan amount upfront. This is represented by an upward arrow at time zero. And then subsequent cash flows or outflows shown as downward arrows representing the periodic loan repayments. For the lender, the cash flows are reversed. On the right, we see that the initial loan disbursement is an outflow represented by a downward arrow at time zero, as this is the amount lent to the borrower. Over time, the lender receives repayments represented by upward arrows. When solving cash flow diagrams, certain rules must be followed to properly account for the time value of money and ensure accurate calculations. The first is that cash flows cannot be added or subtracted unless they occur at the same time. So cash flows represent money at different points in time. And due to the time value of money, a dollar today is not equivalent to a dollar in the future. You should always remember that. So to accurately analyze cash flows, they must first be adjusted to the same time point, either present or future, before any addition or subtraction. We'll see this represented in the coming problems. For the second one, to move a cash flow forward in time by one time unit, multiply the magnitude of the cash flow by quantity 1 plus I. So for example, you have a $100 today and you want to know its value 1 year later at an interest rate of 5%. You would calculate it as 100 multiplied by 1 plus 0.05, resulting to $105. And lastly, to move a cash flow backwards in time by one time unit, we divide the magnitude of the cash flow by quantity 1 plus I. So taking the earlier example, if we're expecting $105 in 1 year and want to find its value today at a 5% interest rate, you would calculate it as $105 divided by 1 plus 0.05, resulting to $100. So rules 2 and 3 are actually equations for the future and present value of money. So hearing it in words might have seemed overwhelming, so here's a much more condensable version of it. So for the future value of money, we calculate that by multiplying the present value by the quantity 1 plus I raised to n. So by doing so, you're computing the interest over n periods, showing how much the present value will grow by the end of it. Then the alternative notation, it is read as find f given p at I interest periods for n interest periods. And then for the present value of money, we calculate that by dividing the present value by the quantity 1 plus I raised to n, or simply 1 plus I raised to negative n. So similarly, its alternative notation is read as find p given f at I% interest per period for n interest periods. So the way I like to remember this is from if you're going from present to future, we take that as positive. So we're going to the right. So we remember that as positive, right? And then on the other hand, if you're going from the future to the present, so you're going backwards to the left, we take that as a negative. So your exponent there is negative. To better understand those formulas, let's discuss some examples. So for this example here, suppose that you borrow $8,000 now, promising to repay the loan principal plus accumulated interest in 4 years at I equals 10% per year. How much would you repay at the end of 4 years? Let us first list the given values. So first we have a present value of 8,000 at 10% interest rate per year, and then we're taking the amount for 4 years. And we're looking for the future value. Here's a table showing how the cash flows change over the 4 years. Or we can simply solve it using this equation. So again, we're going from the present to the future. Therefore, we have a positive exponent for n. So we multiply 8,000 by 1 plus 0.10 raised to the fourth, resulting to a value of $11,712.80. So for problem number 2, an investor has an option to purchase a tract of land that will be worth $10,000 in 6 years. If the value of the land increases at 8% each year, how much should the investor be willing to pay now for this property? Let us first list the given values. So we have a future value of $10,000, an interest rate of 8% per year, and we're taking this for 6 years. So we're required or we're solving for the value of the present value. So we use the equation P is equal to F quantity 1 plus I raised to negative n. So in this case, we're going from the future to the present. Therefore, their exponent is negative. So that's 10,000 multiplied to 1 plus 0.08 raised to negative 6, resulting in a value of 6,301.70. The next part of this discussion is an annuity uniform series or simply annuity. So it involves a series of equal cash flows, either payments or receipts, made at regular intervals over a specified period of time. Examples of this are car loan payments or insurance payments. Here we see a cash flow diagram for an annuity uniform series. So we can observe here that annuity is a series of consistent cash flows from year 1 to year n. And in these cases, we can either find present equivalent values or future equivalent values. Here we have the formula for the future value given annuity. So that's given by f is equal to a multiplied to the quantity of 1 plus I raised to n minus 1 all over I. And then similarly, we can use this equation to find for annuity by multiplying the future value to the reciprocal of the multiplier used earlier. So for this scenario, you don't need to memorize both equations. You can just memorize the equation for the future value and then use that to calculate A. And then here's the equation for calculating the present value given annuity. So that's given by P is equal to A multiplied to quantity 1 plus I raised to n minus 1 all over I multiplied to 1 plus I raised to n. So it is a similar structure to the formula for the future value, but with an extra multiplier of 1 plus I raised to n at the denominator. So you should remember that the formula for the present value has an additional multiplier of 1 plus I raised to n on the denominator. And then again, you can use this same equation to solve for annuity by multiplying the present value to the reciprocal of the multiplier. Here's a table summarizing all the formulas we have discussed so far for the time value of money. So shown here are six equations, but again, you only need to remember the first four as you can solve for the annuity given the other two that you have remembered. Let us apply what we have learned by answering a couple of problems. So for this problem, a recent government study reported that the college degree is worth an extra $23,000 per year in an income compared to what a high school graduate makes. If the interest rate is 6% per year and you work for 40 years, what is the future compound amount of this extra income? Let us first construct our cash flow diagram. So since our end value of 40 years is quite big, we can shorten the diagram by using this staggered line in the middle to represent the years in between. We then draw the arrows downwards to represent the $23,000 annuity per year. And then lastly, we draw a upwards dashed arrow at the year 40 to represent the future compound amount. And then this is a dashed line because that is the amount we want to compute in this problem. So again, we list our given, an A value of $23,000, an interest rate of 6% per year, and 40 years. So we use this equation to calculate the future amount. We substitute the values 23,000 multiplied to 1 plus 0.06 raised to 40 minus 1 all over zero point zero 0.06. And we have a value of $3,559,525.21. Let us move to the next problem. A microbrewery is considering the installation of a newly designed boiler system that burns the dried spent malt and barley grains from the brewing process. The boiler will produce process steam that powers the majority of the brewer's energy operations, saving $450,000 per year over the boiler's expected life of 10 years. If the interest rate is 12% per year, how much money can the brewery afford to invest in the new boiler system? So again, let's construct the cash flow diagram. So here we have 10 years and then 10 upwards arrows signifying annuity of $450,000. And then a downwards dashed line at time zero to represent the present value since we're looking for how much money the brewery can afford to invest in the new boiler system at the present. Again, we list the given values, annuity value of $450,000 and interest rate of 12% per year and end value of 10 years. And we're looking for the present value or P. So here's the equation to solve for P and we then substitute the values. So substituting these values, we get $2,542,600.36. So again, since we're looking for the present value, we have an additional multiplier in the denominator, 1 plus I raised to n. So again, if we're looking for the present value given annuity, we have an additional multiplier of 1 plus I raised to n in the denominator. And for our final problem, you borrow $15,000 from your credit union to purchase a used car. The interest rate on your loan is 0.25% per month, and you will make a total of 36 monthly payments. What is your monthly payment? Again, we first construct our cash flow diagram. So in this problem, we notice that the end value of 36 is again pretty big, so we can use the method we used earlier wherein we added the staggered line in the middle to represent the years in between. And we also notice that the interest rate is given in per month as compared to the per year that we're used to in the given problems. And that's okay. Again, your time period does not have to be per year, it just has to be consistent. So if your interest rate is given per month, we can use N that is per month as well. And in this problem, it is given in 36 months, so we can use that. Moving forward, we draw a downwards arrow at time zero to represent the 15,000 present value. And we draw upwards arrow at month 1 to month 36 to represent the annuity value. So again, we list down the given values: 15,000 present value and an interest rate of 0.25% per month for 36 months. And since we're looking for A, here's the equation for annuity. We then substitute the values and we get an answer of $436.22. So from these problems, you can see that it's relatively an easy topic as long as you know the formulas. For me, the challenge lies in how you interpret the problem and how you understand it and how you're able to know what formula to use and when to use it. So as we wrap up this discussion, I'd like to leave 2 points that I'd like you to remember. The first one is that a dollar received today is worth more than a dollar received in the future. I have repeated this multiple times throughout this video and I'd like you to remember it as well. This is because this is the premise of the time value of money. And the second is that cash flows cannot be added or subtracted unless they occur at the same point in time. So when dealing with complex problems, there can be multiple cash flows and it may be confusing to solve that. But in doing so, just remember that they have to be in the same point in time before you perform any form of operations on them. And of course, you have to remember our formulas. So that's all for this topic on the time value of money under Ecomche. So if you have any questions, you can reach Chen Academics at chen.acads@gmail.com and on our Facebook page, facebook.com/ChenAcadsHub. Again, this has been Clarice Halago, and thank you so much for listening.